Hi, welcome back. We have some great glitching stories lined up for you. You can comment your favorite story or one of your own experiences. You can also send me your story to storyscary152@gmail.com and I'll add it to the next collection. Hi, I'm RedThicapite10 and my glitch is about how I died and merged with myself from another universe. I had written this before in another post as a comment, but since it seems to have happened to other fellas here, I wanted to share it with more people here, so here I go. I got COVID and it caused me thyroiditis, myocarditis and pericarditis, which altogether hit my heart pretty hard. One night I feel an extremely painful pain in my chest, nothing I had ever felt before, but I knew it was heart-related as I had gotten used to the myo and peri pain. I tried to go out of my flat and advise my parents, who live in another flat, but I collapsed due to the pain and shortness of breath. I knew I was dying, and I was terrified. Suddenly I woke up, and it seemed like a dream. Also, my heart diagnosis changed drastically in the next MRI. I still believe I died that night and jumped and merged with another me from another universe where my heart was not so damaged. Hi, I'm Jberg1720 on Reddit and was my brother invisible? This just happened to me tonight, and I am wondering if anybody has experienced anything similar. So I get home from work around 11 p.m., and by then everyone else in the house is in bed sleeping. I walk through my front door and hear that the TV is on, and so my first thought is that my brother is still awake watching TV, which I thought was a little weird, but not too weird because he would rarely be up when I get home. Anyways, I was gonna go into the living room expecting to see him and to say, "What are you doing still awake?" But he wasn't on the couch. I then thought to myself, he must have just went to bed without shutting off the TV. I then went to the bathroom, maybe for 5 minutes tops. I come back out and sit at the kitchen table. The way the house is set up, you can't really see the couch from the kitchen, but you can see the footrest of the recliner on the couch. And so when I sat down at the table, I looked over and saw his foot on the recliner, then got up and sure enough he was sound asleep on the couch. I was really questioning myself at this point, so I needed clarification as to if he has been there since I got home from work, or if he got up in between the time I checked the couch, and he wasn't there and the time I was in the bathroom for. Anyways, I woke him up asking if he's been there the whole time since I got home. His response was just, "I don't know, I think so," basically still half asleep. Morale of the story: I'm just thinking I missed him on the couch, but I remember clear as day checking to see if he was there, and he wasn't. Hi, I'm Lil Red Angel 1206 on Reddit and I comment on Jberg1720 invisible post, and this is my glitch. When my oldest was first born, he disappeared out of his bassinet. My brother, mother and myself frantically searched for him. He was literally maybe a couple weeks or so old. I had just breastfed him and laid him in the bassinet next to my bed. I rubbed him with one hand, leaning over and into the bassinet as I myself drifted along with him. I don't even recall that I actually fell asleep, but my brother getting ready for school comes to check on us from down the hall. This was very shortly after I laid baby and myself back down, and my bro says, "Where is the baby?" I jump up frantic, and we both start panicking. My mom is in the shower and she heard the commotion. She jumps out soaking wet in a towel, water still running. She also sees that the baby is not in his bassinet. I'm at that point terrified and confused because I know that if I had fallen asleep it was not more than 5 minutes. I heard my mom getting in shower while I was breastfeeding still. This was literally right before I had burped him and laid us both back down. Just nothing was making sense. We all just searched everywhere, even under my bed, as well as the couches and places we knew he couldn't actually be, but we were desperate to find my baby. All three of us checked over me over again the empty bassinet, the same bassinet I just laid him in and rubbed his little back in, not even 20 minutes prior. Where could he have been? My mom is picking up the phone to call 911, trying to console me as I'm in and out of the house trying to see if someone is outside to maybe, I don't know question. I don't know what I was thinking or doing in that moment. It was like time was slowed down and fast all at once. Then suddenly my brother says something along the lines of, "The baby is sleeping in his bassinet." And there we all three stood looking over the bassinet that was just empty, but now laid my sleeping peaceful baby boy in it, just as I remember laying him. This makes no sense. This was in 2006, and if I did not have my family there witnessing, and going through this with at the moment, I would think I was crazy and probably would have chalked it up to being a new mom and sleep deprivation. It just isn't possible, and yet it happened, and it happened to all three of us together, thank goodness. People do not always believe us, and that is okay, I get it. However, I think that is the moment my whole family changes some of our views on the world, and the way we now look at possibilities and more open-minded. Where did my son go? How did we not see him? If I think about it too much, it becomes overwhelming and consuming. I have allowed myself to be okay with the fact that things are just unexplainable sometimes. If we are meant to know, we will be told. I do not think anything is impossible anymore. I am now open-minded and more accepting of certain things than I would ever have been had I not experienced that. I know how you are feeling. It's an inexplainable emotion. Just accept what happened and be okay with it. It was real, and it's still okay. Hi, I'm Expressive Exchange 9 on Reddit, and my glitch is about my coworker changed into someone else. This happened around 5 to 6 years ago. To preface, I'm a teacher. I was working at a large inner-city school. The school had a very large population, 2,000 plus, and as a result, I really only knew the teachers in my wing. One of them was named Mr. B. He was a gray-haired science teacher and located 2 classes down and around the corner. I saw him standing outside his classroom every day on my way to my class, and we nodded. I didn't know him particularly well beyond that. One day Mr. B had a heart attack. He was on leave for several months. One day, another man was outside his room. During lunch, I asked my coworker who I always ate with what the name of the sub was. She told me, "That's Mr. B." I argued with her for a few seconds, but she was looking at me like I was crazy. I never brought it up after that. Hi, I'm IDK. How to use this app on Reddit, and the story is either the entire airport moved, or I experienced a glitch. The route we've been taking for years changed, and the airport is in another spot. For a little bit of background, I live about an hour from an international airport, and I've been there about 24 times over the past few years. Sometimes, I've traveled with other people and sometimes alone. The same is true for my husband. So, we're not exactly jet setters, but we know how to get to the airport. On the trip, it's mostly straight highway, but there's one tricky interchange to go from heading east to south. We always talk about how it's the worst part of the trip, just getting into the correct lane for that spot. We made the mistake once of stopping at a nearby gas station and adding 20 minutes to our time just trying to get back into the right lane. Basically, it's the part of any trip that you dread. But it's also a part we're most familiar with and are both positive existed. Until this past Tuesday. We went to pick up my MIL from the airport and left our usual way. Everything was fine, made it to the spot and got on the interstate heading south. Nothing looked right. Drove a little longer and things were less right. So I pulled over and turned on GPS. The directions had us getting back on the interstate but headed north. Again, this has never ever been the case. That damn spot to head south is seared in my brain, and my husband was just as confused, since he once missed the exit/interchange and nearly missed a flight. Obviously, we were pretty freaked out, but we had our 5-year-old with us in the car, and my MIL arriving at the airport. We left the GPS on and let it take us to the parking garage. We were still pretty shaken up about the whole thing and questioning if it really happened, so we put our address into maps at the airport. The directions had us going the exact opposite way as our usual route. Since we got home, we've checked all kinds of different routes with every way possible. But none of them have the tricky spot in them. So it's not like we just accidentally took a different way without realizing. There wasn't any construction, detours, etc. We took my MIL back to the airport today and took a longer route just to avoid that interchange because it freaks us both out. We're going to look at some paper maps just to verify, but we've made the same drive for years and know it well. That is, we knew it well. The gas station I mentioned is boarded up on Google. This could just be a coincidence, but it's the only thing that's changed physically at the interchange. Hi, I'm UnknownExo on Reddit, and my glitch is about how a nickel becomes a $50. This is a minor glitch, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about it as it just happened this week. I'm the kind of person that usually doesn't pay in cash, but when I do, I'll put my change in a cup holder in my truck. So the other day I buy some drinks at a gas station, total is $5.95 and I pay with $6. I recall getting the nickel and as usual I place it in the cup holder on top of my small pile of change. The following day as I'm driving around I reach down to get some gum which I keep in the other cup holder when I notice a $50 sitting on top of my change pile. It immediately catches my attention because $50 aren't that common, and I don't remember when was the last time I got one, much less when I would have placed it on my change pile. It's very strange to me because it's sitting at the top and my last cash transaction were those drinks I mentioned. To be clear to any non-Americans, $50 are much bigger than a nickel. Hi, I'm Flaky Pastry 27 and my glitch is a FedEx truck disappeared before our eyes. New to the sub, not new to the glitches in the Matrix. My best friend and I had a pretty eerie shared one about a year ago. We live in the Midwest, a rural area with many dirt roads. It's probably about the middle of the day, and we are the only car on the road. You can see for miles on these roads, albeit a few small hills, and there's no one in front of us or behind us. Suddenly, we pass a side road, and a FedEx truck pulls out in front of us. No big deal, as you could see the dust cloud as he rolled up. We drive that way for a few miles, before a dip, then a small hill. The FedEx truck goes over the hill, and disappears from view. We go over the hill, and on the other side, no truck to be seen. It wasn't a small truck either, it was one of the big delivery ones. I check the dirt roads to the side, and there's no dust cloud or a sign of a FedEx truck. As I said, you could see these roads for miles, the land on either side of the street and any connecting roads were pretty flat. I process it for a moment, confused as all hell. Then my best friend kinda mutters, "Did you see that too?" and I ask her if she means the FedEx truck. She does, of course, and we both were completely spooked by it. Still makes me wonder to this day. Hi, I'm Scarlett-Reign on Reddit, and did our 2-year-old daughter glitch, or am I just living in her original story? Okay, so I actually have two glitches which involve her. This is the first and I will edit in the next if anyone wants. First glitch. This happened about 8 weeks ago. It was past bedtime and I could hear her awake in her bedroom which she shares with her 4-year-old brother. This is not unusual and they're really cute when they play and chat at night. So no big deal, right? I walked up the stairs and I can hear their little chatting and giggles. So I decided to pop in and see if they need anything and remind them it's sleep time. I stepped over the safety gate, so I was inside their bedroom, but only about 1 step inside. The hall light was on and lit up their bedroom. My son is in the left bed and my daughter is in the right. I say something like, "What are you two up to?" and they sheepishly tell me they're playing. My eyes adjust and I can see my son in his bed and my daughter in hers. I can see them moving and getting comfortable as we chat. The light is low, but enough to see the shapes of them, the reflection in their eyes and their bedroom floor which is a narrow gap between their beds, a small English council house. We chat for about 3 minutes and I ask them if they need anything. I clearly hear my daughter's voice answering me from her bed. As we are talking I feel something brush the back of my leg. I didn't even look to check because we have cats and those little devils follow me everywhere. One must have jumped over the safety gate and was coming to see if anything interesting was going on. Something felt a bit weird though, and after maybe 5 seconds I realized I hadn't heard the gate rattle as it always does when the cats jump over it. Ah, the cheeky little fur demon must have snuck in when I put them to bed, and that is probably why the kids are awake and giggling. I turn and look at the small gap behind me expecting to see a little black cat. An ISH*TU not. My 2-year-old daughter is stood there. I am so shocked, I say to her, "How did you get there?" and that little girl just starts giggling her little butt off. Like hysterical giggling. I start nervously laughing. I say, "You were just in bed. Did you just teleport, little miss?" And we all start laughing. I am persistent and ask a few more times, "How did you get behind me?" but she doesn't answer me. Just keeps giggling sweetly. I ask her brother, "How did she do that?" and he just carries on laughing. I even say, "What is going on here? What are we all laughing about?" but neither can answer and I am baffled. After a minute or two I say something like, "All right super baby, let's get back in bed." I tuck them back in and close the door behind me. I am totally freaked out. But not scared or anything. Just utter confusion. It felt like I had just looked up and the sky was green. Now, I had been looking at her, in her bed. I was talking to her. I could hear her voice coming from her bed. I did not see her get out of bed. I did not see her walk towards me down the thin strip of floor space. I did not hear her footsteps on the floor. She didn't make a peep of noise. It was like she just appeared. I told my partner and together we tried to figure it out. But it felt like something impossible had happened. Eventually he just said, "Glitch," and here I am. And now the second glitch. If you remember the layout of their bedroom, there are 2 beds, parallel to each other with a narrow gap in between. At the head of their beds is a window which overlooks the back garden. This happened not long after the first event, maybe 10 to 20 days after. It was close enough that the moment it happened I instantly thought, "Not again." In a kind of acceptance way. It was long past bedtime for them. Probably just after midnight. They had gone to bed on time and I hadn't heard a peep from them. I let my dog into the back garden to do her thing and I started walking down my garden to a chair we have at the far end. It was dark by this time but the moon was out so I could see well enough. I got halfway down the garden and turned to look at my house and instinctively looked up to their window. The light of moon was hitting the window in a way which made the glass look kinda white, even though their blinds were closed. But I didn't just see the blinds and the window. I saw my daughter's silhouette. Stood on the windowsill. I can remember it as clear as anything. Like a flash-bulb memory. It was a completely black silhouette, her size and shape, hands up to the glass and I couldn't make out any details or features. I recognized it was my daughter because of the size, but at this point I just knew there was a kid up at the window and I ran like shit upstairs. I rushed into their room and flicked the main light on straight away. I had already started talking and blurted out a word like, "Hey," about to ask her what on earth she was doing. But I stopped in my tracks. Both the kids are in their beds. I figured she jumped down quickly and was pretending to sleep. I actually walk up to her and try talking again but this kid is fast asleep. If you've ever seen a young child in deep sleep it isn't something they could fake. Slightly sweating, pink cheeks, sprawled out like a dead weight. I am so shocked now. Because I am so certain of what I saw. I checked my son even though I knew it couldn't logically be him, but he is sleeping deeply too. I just back out of their room feeling pretty flabbergasted. This time I definitely got creeped out a bit, along with the familiar confusion and disbelief. I went back outside and checked. The window was lit up in the exact same way. Only no weird toddler figure looking back at me. Hi, I'm ammerbemad on Reddit and my glitch is that I sometimes repeat a day. Just found out about this Reddit and wanted to share my story. I always tell myself it was just a dream, or a deja vu. I first experienced it when I was 18. It was 2016 in college. I woke up expecting that day to be Wednesday, and I went to my small pantry to look for breakfast, and saw the cup noodles I ate the day before, and thought that I just forgot for buying another cup noodles. I just drank coffee, saw my wallet and thought I had extra cash, bought a muffin at the bakery, then I went and rode a bus. And weirdly it was the same bus I rode yesterday, since I knew the driver and he always greets me. I nodded at him and said good morning. That was the time it felt weird. Opened my phone to check on my girlfriend and saw a message that we will be vacant for the second subject. I entered our classroom, and got confused when our professor on modern physics was sitting on the front, waiting for us. It was 5 or 10 minutes before her class, and she's always early. She was my favorite. Professor. I asked my classmate what's Mrs. M doing here. Shouldn't Mr. T be our first period? Then my classmate told me that Mr. T's period is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but it was Tuesday today. Chills run through my spine, but I laughed and told him to stop kidding around. Then he showed me his phone and the date was the date yesterday. I went speechless as he laughed at me, then I told myself this day is a deja vu. I went on my day, saw the people I saw yesterday, talked to the same people, did the activities we did, and I got higher scores since I knew most of the answers. I went to my girlfriend's school, we went and ate dinner together, I walked her home, kissed her goodbye and went back to my boarding house, all the things I did yesterday. I even looked at my study table to look for my notes in calculus that I wrote after I went home, but it was not there. It happened to me 3 or 4 times now. And I'm a physics major grad. I am reading a lot about altering time and space pattern. But the nearest thing I can conclude is it was just a dream that I happen to live again in real life. Hi, I'm SSDiestiel on Reddit, and my glitch is about a former coworker is back from the dead. This is one of the biggest personal glitches I've ever had. I work in the admitting department of my local hospital, and I also help the business office with miscellaneous billing duties. One of the things I do is keep track of obituaries. When someone's obituary appears in the newspaper, I check to see if they still owe the hospital money. If they do, I clip the obit, fill out a form, and then keep track of how their insurance pays and whatnot. A few years ago, I've worked there 20+ years. One of my coworkers in the dietary department retired and passed away soon after. I know, because I processed her obituary. This coworker's daughter was really good friends with my cousin, so the daughter was even over at my cousin's house the day after my coworker's funeral. They had a big wake for her mother and everything. Today, as I'm working ER registration, the daughter comes in and says her mom is in the ER. I was brought up short. I thought, what? I didn't say anything for a moment, so my office mate had to step in for me and look up this lady's mother. Sure as shit, it's the woman who died years ago. My office mate lets the daughter back into the ER to see her mom, and I am unable to find the obit form I filled out. I heard back from my cousin, and he's as weirded out as I am. Coworker's daughter has no memory of the wake or anything, but she said she's been getting this stuff from the people around her from the past few days. People remember her mom dying, even funeral details and the like, but coworker's daughter doesn't remember any of it, plus, her mom is right there. It's freaky. Spoke with cousin instead of texting him. Coworker's daughter said it was her dad that died and not her mom, but she also said that's not the way any of the people who run into her remember it. They're asking where her dad is, how he is today, he's not answering his phone or texts, etc., and to her, the man has been dead over 10 years. I've been asked if I had any close calls or moments where I couldn't slip from one universe to another, and yes, there was one. It was a little over 2 years ago. I was getting my evening medications together, but I was tired and screwed them up. I ended up taking an entire full bottle of glipizide, which is a medication that lowers your blood sugar. I accidentally took enough to kill a horse. I realized it right as I laid down for a nap due to extreme exhaustion, and I felt really weird going to sleep. Looking back on it, I think I fell asleep forever there and woke up here. My goodness, thank you for the awards. While the vast majority of you all have been lovely, I've been getting some really angry replies and private messages about what happened with the glipizide. I'll post here what happened to me with the medication, and I don't know what more I can add. This is how the incident occurred. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but take your vitriol and anger somewhere else, please. Here's what happened. I take a lot of meds for a lot of stuff, epilepsy, diabetes, etc., so I have a lot of empty pill bottles lying around. That day, I had an empty pill bottle with the label still on it, so I figured I'd just grab all of my evening med doses out of my bedroom, take them to the dining room, and just swallow them with dinner. I've done it loads of times before. Like I said, I was tired that night, so when I pulled out my bottle of glipizide, I got my dose, and then accidentally closed the bottle with my evening meds in it, put it back where the bottle of glipizide went, and then took the full bottle of glipizide with me to the dining room. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't look at the bottle when I took my meds that evening. I just threw the pills back and swallowed them with dinner. The pills were tiny, and all I noticed was that they didn't feel quite right in my mouth. I didn't think anything else about it, though, because the idea of taking a whole bottle of pills seemed ludicrous to me. What kind of idiot would do something like that? Me, apparently. When I stumbled back to my bedroom, I checked the bottles, because something was very, very wrong. I discovered the rest of what should have been my evening meds in the bottle I had mistakenly put in the glipizide place, and that's when I saw I had downed a full bottle of glipizide. I wanted to grab my husband, holler, shout, do anything, but my body was made of lead. I could only crawl over to my bed and flop on it, and when I woke up, everything was fine. That's what I mean by going to sleep there and waking up here. I don't think I woke up there. I think I died there and woke up here. We've come to the end of this collection. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more glitches. If you have any stories to share, send to storiescary152@gmail.com or leave a comment.